Hey, Carl Jackson here. Make sure you find me on Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Twitter at Carl Jackson Show. So I'm a little deflated about the government shutdown ending. Now, listen, I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want federal employees to go without their paychecks. You know, I get that. That's a hardship. Although they do make twice the amount of money as the average American worker, and they haven't managed to save for a month. That's pretty astonishing to me. Nonetheless, listen, anyone that's not getting a paycheck, I can understand that's a hard deal. However, there were bigger things in place that I think we gave up as Republicans, as conservatives. Listen, obviously we had a chance to get the border wall. That didn't happen. And then we had the chance to end these crazy CRs. That didn't happen. So now we're budgeting again on these short-term resolutions that just drives all of us crazy. So the sky will be falling again on February 13th. And then the opportunity, if you will, to leverage future shutdowns. Did you know that there was legislation drafted by the minorities in the House, the Republicans in the House that are the minorities in the House right now? It was drafted where federal employees could be paid despite the federal government shutdown. The Democrats didn't want anything to do with that. So that goes to prove that they don't care about the federal workers like they say they do. So let it be said that it was President Trump that has the heart. It was President Trump that cares about the federal workers. It was President Trump that illustrated that he cares about border security and all Americans for that matter. But can you imagine if we could have leveraged the power to pay federal workers during shutdowns? Democrats or Republicans would have no leverage. Shutdowns would be totally irrelevant. It's something we should have done. And also, we missed an opportunity to privatize the TSA, non-essential employees. Listen, I was all for a severance package for these employees, or taking these industries that are non-essential, where the work can be done in the private sector, let it be done there so we don't have to pay. It makes no sense. Could you imagine owning a business and hiring people you don't need? It makes no sense, but this is what happens with the federal government. So will President Trump shut down the government in 3 weeks? I don't know that. I really believe that maybe he got some bad advice inside of the White House, but I think he just lost his leverage. I don't understand how it would happen. I mean, obviously, if he says he's going to do it, then he better make sure he comes through on his word to do it. But I just don't see it happening. Obviously, Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party, aren't going to go with him, I don't believe, in another shutdown. They're not going to have his back in another shutdown. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi is going to stand strong. They're going to put all the blame on President. Listen, President Trump was elected to be the Republican Party's spine. And quite frankly, this is a fight that we should have had as Republicans and conservatives when Paul Ryan was running the House. I wish President Trump would have forced Paul Ryan's hand, because now we don't have the House, and now we have a bunch of weak-kneed Republicans that will not have his back. I give President Trump all the credit in the world, his courage, being willing to fight these fights, but this is one that I feel he should have seen through, because I believe he just lost his leverage. Now, maybe he'll invoke the National Emergencies Act to build the border wall. I'm not a fan of that personally. I think it gives the president a precedent that I don't want to see, because I don't want a left-wing president coming in and saying healthcare is a national emergency, or immigration, allowing more illegal immigrants in, or completing the Obamacare socialized medicine in this country. I don't want to see that. That is my fear. That is my concern. So I feel like we lost leverage on this thing. There's no way to. I don't think there's any way to shake that. We lost leverage on this thing. So, but I'm praying and I'm hopeful that President Trump in the next few weeks will come up with a plan, that there will be a miracle that'll happen. We'll get the funding that we need for the border wall, and perhaps that is happening. Hopefully it is. But I just feel completely deflated on this. I just got to be completely honest. It isn't my goal or desire that anybody suffer. But in the long term, I feel like America is going to suffer if we don't secure our borders, and we need to get this straight. And I think President Trump is our best hope and ally if you will, in Washington to make sure that we secure our borders and that America remains a sovereign nation. So if he invokes the National Emergencies Act, it'll be in the courts for the next year or two. Democrats will carry this all the way through the election. So I'm not even convinced that'll work. This is all a ploy to demonize this guy and destroy him for the upcoming elections in 2020. So if you want the wall, we can't count on President Trump alone. We need our congressmen to do it. We need to make calls within this 3-week period of time. We need to make calls to all of our congressmen and women demanding that they secure the borders, including a wall.